We're back. LightBringers podcast number 29, Echovald Forest with guild chats as well. Let's watch the things. If you're here listening, you might want to go watch because there's going to be loads of visuals. If you're not able to, you can listen to our other voices as well. That's also good.
Great visuals.
Oh,
not so great voices.
Amazing
Grating.
voices.
Grating like a cheese grater. I'm so pumped for today. Echovald Wilds. We've only seen screenshots. It'll be so lovely actually seeing people move around.
Always good to see people move around. I agree. Just fixing Brooke. There we go. That's gonna be okay.
Hi Tyria, happy Friday and welcome to Guild Chat. I'm your host
It's Ruby.
And for those of you
Hi,
in the audience
Ruby.
who thought my tattoos were all gone, you are mistaken.
Oh!
I'm very slowly getting rid of them, but they are really hanging in there.
That's ours
Extra
is
Life
still
Last Week
there.
was super interesting. Thanks to all of you who participated.
Amazing.
So we are loving the reactions that we've seen from all of you to our Echovald Wilds video that we shared with you earlier this week. And it's got us really excited to show you even more in our Echovald Wilds map tour today. Two quick things before we get started and jump in. This is a work in progress. We're taking you behind the scenes into a development environment.
Quick intro as well.
So you're gonna
Kroof
see
and
some
Rook
things
with
that
us
look like
today.
a work in progress, maybe.
Hi,
Some
everyone.
temporary
And another special guest, Tibble, is down below, but he's quiet.
Also
So
don't want
just have to
spoil
bear with
anything
us.
for you. So
Not
we
going to be
picked a
talking, he's
lot
just
from you.
making sure we're doing it right, you know?
Cover it in February once End of
Oh,
Dragons
they said they've
launches.
hidden a
So
lot
things look
from
a little bit
us.
quiet here and there, maybe look a little bit empty. It's because we have shoved them all under a blanket, so you can't see them quite yet. With that said, let's jump right in and meet our first two developer guests, starting with Morgan. Hi.
Hello, thank you for that lovely introduction, Ruby. I am Morgan Lockhart, and I am a senior writer here at ArenaNet, and I am the writer on Echovald Wilds.
Thank you. Kirk.
Hello, I'm Kirk Williford. I am a senior game designer at ArenaNet, and I am a content team lead on End of Dragons.
Awesome. All right, so
Ooh.
Kirk, where are we starting today?
Sure, so we're actually starting in an area of the
Are they gonna
Echovald
proper
Wilds
go
called
there?
Lake Gardus. This is an area that is reminiscent of a certain name from Guild Wars 1 that is House of Gardus and the Kurzicks. You'll see it's a very, very tall, very, you know,
The scale.
big forest. It's just
Oh my
a
gosh,
ton
the
of vines,
trees!
lots of verticality here. It's a beautiful space. And we're starting here because we're going to take a tour on our skiff here. We're going to go into our first location that we're looking at from Lake Gardus.
They hid the mini map.
It really is, yeah. Especially that shot of underwater.
Yeah, that's good, probably.
So what we're
Yeah,
doing
you can't
is,
pilfer
in these
info, though.
forests, there's these big tree
Sneak
trunks,
peeks of
and some them
location
have some
names,
stuff in it
points
you
of
can discover.
interest.
This particular one is a giant tree trunk that just so happens to have a big village in it called Mori Village.
Oh, the tango!
And
Maury.
once
It's
we
like
get
Maury's
there is
chat
the
show host comes out.
of-
Hello, everyone. Sorry.
Oh, I'm stuck.
I'm very English, apparently.
Environment.
You know what? While you're trying
There
to
we
get
go.
out of
Progress.
Look
while
at
you're
my
trying to get out of
beautiful
your skiff,
birds.
I am going to mention there are a whole lot of tengu. That is not a hint at playable tengu. Playable tengu are not a thing in End of Dragons.
Oh, they actually said it! Oh my god!
Hopes and dreams!
No one has actually said it though. Oh no!
Live in many parts of Canada.
Oh no!
Shing-Jay.
Can someone clip that?
Devastated. I mean, I wasn't truly banking on it.
Tengu fled
Still.
Canada completely. We've met some of them in the domain of the winds and
I'm
the
sorry.
North Basin. However, some
Definitely
of them
need
do
someone.
stay in Canada. a group known as the Kestrels
They look so
led other
beautiful,
Tengu
though.
to Echovald
I know, they
and
look
taught
so
them how to
good.
blend in with their environment, how to live off the land.
All right, here we go. We got some
and to
information.
evade the Ministry of Purity's forces. And so there have remained Tengu in Kantha. And when the Ministry of Purity fell, those Tengu were able to step out of hiding and establish Mori Village, which is their largest permanent settlement in Echovald. Some of them went other places. There's going to be Tengu in other parts of Kantha as well, but those who just were really excited to live in Echovald and stay in Echovald decided to stay and found Mori Village. But they remain pretty distrustful of outsiders. They've obviously had a lot of bad experiences, and so
They
they
all
don't
look so good. It just
immediately
makes
welcome
me
the player with
happy
open arms. They're not
and
aggressive, but
immediately
they're distrustful.
miserable that they're understandable.
I understand why they would be. Sure.
All the different varieties.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about Mori Village, you know, and
Like
the
the
Tengu in
Khajiit in the
Echovald
ESO.
and the Tengu in Kantha in general is the art team has done an incredible job of developing a unique look for them that is different than the Tengu in the rest of Tyria, right? You'll in this area alone, right? That the Tengu here have their own sense of architecture, their own style that really makes it feel unique to Kantha.
Yeah.
And in doing so as well, you know, some of the Tengu themselves look different, right? They're not going to be the same looking Tengu as you'll see in the rest of Tyria. Like we got this lovely, curious youngster
I love
here,
their
right?
dumb little
Yeah.
faces.
Does
this look like the face of
so
Mercy to you?
fact that we can't
This does look like
play
the face of
these.
Mercy to me. I love him. He's my favorite. I'm not supposed
Yeah.
to have favorites. He's my favorite.
Do you? Yeah, I was like, I am shameless about this.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, Mori Village in Guild Wars 2 and in Echovald Wilds is one of our renown hearts for the map. And in this one, you know, something you're doing as you're exploring the area is trying to earn the trust of the Kestrels and the Tengu that are here.
The Kestrels?
Because you know,
They're
they know
actually
you're an
Wait.
outsider. You know, why are you here? Like, why are you doing what you're doing here?
That's
Why are you
amazing.
messing with these curious youngsters who look like they're just in a wreck today?
I love their
And at the
dumb
same
little
time,
beaks and
they're
their
interested in
tiny
you, right?
ears.
Like they don't see you as
Their round,
unique,
fluffy
right? But they're
head.
suspicious. So you do what you can
They're
to
gonna be a
really
mountain,
establish
you know that,
yourself
right?
and say, hey, I am not a threat to you,
I wanna
right?
be
Like we're here for a specific
one.
purpose.
There's
And
so
you know,
many
you're able to
varieties.
discover kind
Like,
of some of the
I
history there and
know.
learn about the Tengu, learn about what's
There's
happening
no
in Mori
through
Village.
line, which is
You know,
very
all
interesting
kinds of
for
fun
Tengu.
stuff
They're all
with that
very
as you
different
explore the area. Like, here's
subsects
a wonderful
of
another
avian
new
creatures.
Tengu look that we've got.
They all look
pretty.
so good.
Yeah,
I
they really
love the
do.
like mallard, the duck.
Should we start heading north?
Yeah, let's see what else is here.
See some more of
All
Echovald.
right, so I'm gonna hop
Or
on
Morgan
my
and I could just yell about the fluffy
Gonna
Tengu
mount.
some more.
Just park in front of the fluffy Tengu
the
for an hour.
fluffy Tengu. Yeah, so I'm gonna hop on
Sorry.
my awesome
Sorry, everyone.
Canthan Raptor.
There's the map. There's the waypoint
Yeah,
as
head
well.
off
One of the
and see
waypoints.
what's
What else do we
Yeah.
have?
Oh,
Yeah.
this is nice.
Where are we heading now?
We're gonna head into a little bit more of the wild part of the Echovald Wilds, and
Rottweilers.
you'll
The
start
wild
immediately
part.
coming across some angry folks.
Ow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Here we have one of our
The
gang
Kirin
members.
enemy.
Our two primary antagonists.
Now that I will take as a mount.
Are two gangs known as the Speakers
Yes.
and the Jade Brotherhood. And they are both opposed ideologically to each other and also vying for control of the same resources of the same territory. And unfortunately causing a lot of problems for the villagers of Echovald, extorting them for money, for food, for resources.
I would
And
totally
also
take
villagers
Kirin
are
as a
constantly
ranger
getting caught
pet
in the
too.
crossfires of
Look
the
at it,
gang
it's so
warfare
beautiful.
and
Why are
our
you
collateral
killing
damage.
it?
And so the player is
Great,
going
it
to
might
be
be.
helping the locals with these gang threats.
Never know.
You
I
know,
guess they
sort
could
of
add it if they
undermining the
wanted to.
schemes of
No,
these
never mind.
gangs and also protecting the locals from them.
For sure, and yeah, as Morgan was saying, right,
Go for
like
the
there's a
birds!
lot of these gangs to deal with in this area, but there's also a lot of wildlife too, right? You got to remember that this is called Echovald Wilds. There's a lot of, you know, different things to expect in this map compared to a map like Xingzhe, which, you know, you might have seen a couple weeks ago, right? A lot of wildlife like the Kirin. These ones are not very happy with me right now, so I'm going to kind of keep my distance. But, you know, the gangs in particular, right? That's a recurring group of enemies. Both of these two gangs.
Oh, did they
the similar
say? Oh,
speakers
it will
who
be
are
a ranger.
not very happy with me. They
Oh,
seem to
okay,
like
well,
using
cool.
these amazing looking spirits. Which
Yeah,
is
those
so
spirits are
amazing that
awesome.
They're going to kill me someday.
Kirk, why is everyone here angry with you?
Listen, the
You're an
gangs, like I
outsider.
said, yeah, I'm an outsider. I don't belong
Trying to
here.
mess up all their schemes.
They want your raptor,
That's
true.
obviously.
Yeah,
This is
I
what's
mean,
up here.
that is
Raptor.
something worth noting. You know, as we continue further north here, is when you get to Echovald Wilds, you will have acquired
that
if you haven't
extra
yet,
ability
your
something I've just
mount,
missed
your
on
Raptor and your Springer mounts.
Raptor mount?
And so Echovald Wilds is really a
Yes.
good map to take advantage of some of that.
green
You know,
one?
I've mentioned it before, but the verticality
Yeah.
of
Yes,
this
the
map,
stealth
you know,
one.
it
That's
really
just the
brings
stealth
to
one,
life
right?
how tall
Okay.
and how
I must have
grand
missed
this
that.
forest is. You know, and in doing so, you're
Blanche's
able to
hope.
explore and find some really cool discoverable
I missed
things.
that.
Most of which we're not going to be showing for obvious reasons.
Ah, those mushrooms. I never
you know,
wanted to
you'll-
see them again after
You
Heart of
also come across,
Thorns.
you know, villages scattered around the way. This is one that, you know, again,
that's pretty.
development environment.
Tangled
We
Fawns
don't want to spoil a
PTSD.
bunch of stuff, so we did hide a lot of stuff, but there's so much content in this map to discover. But in this one, you know, each of these villages have their own sense of history, right? And some of the stuff that you will come across as you visit them and learn more about the people.
Yeah, because we don't just have Tengu out here. The Echovald Wilds the Echovald Forest in general, was historically the home of the Kurzicks. We have Kurzick
Yeah.
descendants here. We have
There's
Luxon
different
descendants
factions.
here. The Kurzicks do not
Peeps,
own
by the way.
Echovald
Straight.
anymore.
I know
The
some of you
Ministry
are
Purity
asking.
defeated the Great Houses, and it hasn't returned to their ownership. But many
And we
of
can
them
talk a little bit
feel
about the
a
history
kinship to
later.
it as their historical home. But others, everybody's here just kind of for their own reasons. You know, I joke sometimes that it's our Alaska, and that anybody who doesn't feel like they fit in with mainstream society for whatever reason, maybe they distrust.
My gosh, the
expansion of
jade
tech.
statues
As you run around
lining
this map,
it
you
are
might
so
notice
pretty.
There's not actually a lot of jade tech here, and that's because a lot of people here don't trust it, and so that's one of the many reasons. Other people just kind of march to the beat of their own drum. You know, I was telling these guys the other day about one of my favorite little stories, which is this guy who moved out to Echovald because he really loves snakes, and you are not allowed to own snakes as pets in Kaining. And so he's out here because if he didn't live out here, he'd have to release his 5 beautiful sons. He's not willing to do that. And so the map's just full of all these things. You know, there's people out here because of
Interesting.
history, because of opinions, because of their own quirks, and there's just so many people to meet and get to know.
Blastoise.
This seems like the in-game equivalent of I want to keep chickens in the city.
Oh yes, and I mean I will not confirm nor deny where the inspiration for this man came from, but fresh eggs are an amazing thing.
They're extremely good. So we did mention that we have hidden a lot of things.
Spirit of
Kirk
pain.
sure did make a choice here to unhide part of it.
I sure did.
You doing okay down there?
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness for dev commands. Anyway, so this is one of the events that you'll come across in the Echovald Wilds. As was mentioned before, these gangs, right, they mean business. They don't like you, but they also do not like each other. So, you know, their goal here is to wrestle as much control of the Echovald Wilds as they can, and the map is pretty much kind of centered around that conflict, right, and how the region is dealing with it. And so in this case, you know, we got an area that a lovely
Interesting.
portal over there that goes to a map to be determined.
I do really like the designs of the Jade
right?
Tech
Both of these two gangs
waypoints.
are here trying to take control of
Yeah.
it, and so we've
Yeah.
got
That's
you know
good.
them fighting each other. We've got some
trying to read
friendly
all of the enemy's
Ministry of
titles.
Security folks here.
The
with
lore.
my dev cheats not dying and getting wrecked by these guys.
There's a crane! There's a crane Tengu!
It's a very unique skill to be able to sit at just 1 HP for as long as I can.
It's Kirk's specialty, actually.
Absolutely.
It's a
So-
My
superpower.
special move.
So
Yeah.
we will, at some point in the future, we will take you through that waypoint, or through that portal, but can we take a peek at the jade statues because they are gorgeous?
Let's do that. I'm going to go invisible for a little
The
bit.
statues,
so, they
yeah,
don't,
I wanted
you
to
know,
see
continue
closer.
To try to take
Oh,
my lunch,
nice.
but,
And
I
they have
love
object permanent
it.
issues, object permanence issues.
Those are, I
so
bet you,
are-
the-
but the map.
Is that
all
the
of set
Empress?
Pieces are so beautiful.
yeah, they really are. The art team for End of Dragons has done
Green.
such an amazing job of creating just
The one to the
beautiful
right,
looking
is that the
environments and,
whatchamacallit?
props to go in
The
and
one
fill
from
them
Guild
all
Wars
out,
1
right?
that's like
Something that constantly blows
a
my
gator
skin away every time I
armadillo.
look at it.
What is it called?
You know, comparing
Yes.
Echovald Wilds to a map like Kurzick we saw a couple weeks ago, right? These are two completely different biomes.
Yeah.
They look nothing.
So those
like
are
each other,
definitely
and that is-
phoenixes.
That you know that is something that we want to do. It was important to us when we approached Cantha because they're very different regions, right? That's something that's really cool about Cantha is it has so many different looking areas to it. But it
Lovely to
presents
see
a
the
really
Tengu have a nice staff
interesting and
animation
unique
now.
challenge, not for the entire team, art design and everybody, because we want to make
Sucks
these
that
areas
we
look
can't
different,
play
feel
them.
different.
I know, I'm actually devastated
And
right
I'm
now, and I'm
really,
trying.
really
it's like
excited
I
to
knew not
really,
to
be
expect
able to share
it,
this
but I
with folks,
still
when they're able to
just
explore
hope
themselves.
so much.
Yeah.
And seeing
But
their
you're
new
even-
models
even
and the different
within this map,
versions, I'm like
there are different looking
dying
areas.
inside.
There's an area. Is it further north?
It is, so I'm gonna continue on here. I'm
Take
gonna
your
turn off
invisible
my
self onward.
Yeah, I'm gonna go not be invisible at that point. You two have fun. We're gonna keep going here.
You guys fight each other. They're just
Yeah,
very
they-
angry
if
all the
they'd
time.
stop fighting each other, maybe they'd actually succeed in fighting us, but they don't.
He's getting away.
So here we are at the Kinkai Basin sector. Again, this something worth mentioning is we've purposefully hidden quite a bit of content that takes place in these maps to prevent spoilers. So one thing about Kinkaishi Basin and Mount Kinkaishi, or if anyone is familiar with it, it's something from Guild Wars 1. It's a region of Cantha that's right to the west, or I guess it's east. I'm good at directions. East-ish of the Echovald Forest. It's a beautiful mountain range that borders the entire forest, and we wanted to have a little bit of that inside of Echovald Wilds. So another one of those villages, like Morgan was talking about, was Kinkai Village here. Yeah. So this is a beautiful location that, Morgan,
The growth on top of those
This is a fishing
rooftops.
village, and I think one of the things that's interesting to note about Kinkai is that
fishing village.
both Tengu and human are here living side by side. All the peoples of Echovald, even though they come from a lot of different backgrounds, they've put those differences aside, those historical differences. They have much bigger problems than each other. Everybody's just kind of trying to live their life. So you're going to find Tengu living together,
It's weird.
Luxons and Kurziks.
Yeah,
And
it's definitely atmospheric. It has that kind of mysterious, tree canopy that shadows everything feel, but it doesn't feel, I don't know, ominous, if that makes sense.
They're generally all getting along because they have bigger problems. They have these gangs that are stealing all their lunch money. and their real money.
That's canon
They're
now.
very into the lunch money,
is
I
canon.
assure you. Yeah, it's really exciting to be able to explore the history of the area, and kind of what happened to the Kurziks and Luxons once the Ministry of Purity came in and took their lunch money. There's a lot of lunch money taking.
Yeah.
So to
We're
speak.
gonna need some kind of content about the lunch
about
money being
lunch.
Can you
stolen.
tell it's almost lunchtime?
Models.
Yeah, I think we're all
Okay,
hungry.
Kurt is hungry. Move on.
Yeah, but this is again just one of quite a few
towards the
little
Jade.
outposts that you'll discover as you move around Echovald Wilds. We're gonna take a detour around these very ominous-looking enemies because we're gonna head to Aspenwood Gulch, which when we
So
were.
many familiar names.
It is a familiar name. Yeah, this is another one that when we were kind of plotting out where we wanted to go with Echovald and Guild Wars 2,
I was just thinking
Fort
Warsong
Aspenwood came
Gulch
up.
then. I was
And
like,
Fort
World of
Aspenwood was the
Warcraft
location of
first
Guild Wars
PvP
1
map.
that,
I was like,
it was a Kurzick
God,
versus
gives me
Luxon
bad memories.
PvPvE, if you will, environment. Whereas if you were a Kurzick, you were defending an area from Luxon attackers and their siege turtle armada. And if you were not, if you were a Luxon, you were the one escorting those siege turtles in order to
Ooh, that stained glass in
do
there.
bad things and destroy all of the Kurzick
Anishi, thank you for
architecture
the
that
raid,
lay
my
inside
friend.
of that facility. I'm going to go ahead and go invisible again because these are very ominous-looking creatures here.
Yeah, we're getting more and more Jade tech.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mentioned earlier that most people in Echovald Wilds do not love Jade tech. However, the Jade Brotherhood are an exception. But unlike everybody else, the reason that they're out here with their Jade tech is because their Jade tech is a little bit more controversial. Maybe they were in Kaining, but they blew up a building allegedly. It was never proven. But anyway, they just trying to get away from the Ministry of Security, and conduct their experiments. So they've set up out here in Echovald in one of these big, beautiful, this is their big, beautiful lab. And what are they doing inside? Well, we're not going to tell you today, but
It's probably fine.
it's probably fine. I'm sure they're just, I don't know.
Probably fine.
yeah,
They would just they
at
have
the
it heavily
buildings, though.
reinforced and
I
defended.
know.
It's very fortified.
I
into this
love
Jade
that
tech fortress
structure.
For no reason. It's fine.
They're
Yeah.
developing lunch money stealing tech.
That is
I
It's
wish
exactly
that
very
was-
like
yeah,
medieval,
heard it here
like church kind of.
Yeah,
I wonder if
it's
those
actually,
are
one of
nods
the
to,
stuff
like,
that takes you around this area
the
and
original
what you can find
humans
inside
that like
of
lived
these
this
areas, if you can
area,
manage
or
to
like
get in.
I think
were
it's
brought
that.
by the gods
very,
to this
very,
area.
threatening
Yeah.
looking enemy groups here. It's an incredible experience. It's one of my favorite in the map. Every time we play test
I
it,
guess technology
the
and
group
like
comes away
it
just
makes
like, oh,
sense.
man,
Like
that's so
the
cool.
humans invaded, the
I love that
technology
the
invaded.
architecture is
I
reminiscent
guess
of it
in
was,
a way.
in Guild Wars 1. I still have flashbacks to either defending or attacking this area. I will not reveal my allegiance to which faction.
Oh man.
Luxon.
Well, anyway,
Actually, I don't know if that was true.
we don't talk about it. Anyway,
Kurt just
but,
doesn't want to fight with me.
Yeah.
well, I want to keep my lunch money. But it's still very reminiscent. The paths are similar to what you would expect, but at the same time, they've been fortified and turned into the Cantha of New. Right? The Jade Brotherhood have set up shop here, and they mean business. And so once you get inside, there's a lot of surprises to find in there, and it's just really, really fun and exciting every time. So I think we're gonna head to the next location here, which speaking of Brotherhood and the Jade Brotherhood,
Hey.
shall we?
Yeah.
Head towards one of the things, another renowned heart in the area actually.
I wanna
is,
see a warden.
As Morgan
Yeah,
was
I
saying before
know.
about the gangs, they are set up shop here, right? And they don't like each other, they don't like you. But you, as the commander, you want to know more about them, right? What do they do? Why are they here doing what they're doing? What are their goals? And in doing so, you're able to actually go into a recon mission of yourself and infiltrate the outposts, the Jade Brotherhood headquarters. So we're going to take a look at that, actually. But in doing so, we have to get a disguise first, because if we just, barge in there, it's going to be bad times for us.
Yeah, thankfully we have a Kestrel here to help us with that. So I mentioned those guys earlier. Those are the
it's a full-on heart.
They were
looks like
founded in this effort to get people to Echovald, to get the Tengu someplace safe, and then to teach everybody to stay here.
This is like a big spoiler.
The ministry to blend in. And then so once the ministry fell, the Kestrels technically didn't have a purpose anymore, but they decided to persist on, and they've become the peacekeeping force of Echovald. And they still remain very good at subterfuge, at stealth, and keeping their eyes open, and basically keeping a pulse on everything that happens in Echovald. And so one of the ways they're able to help you is with some of their illusion
there's so
magic,
much work
and
that has
they
gone
offer
into
the
these
entire
characters.
feminine appearance, a masculine appearance, or also a non-binary
I like that they have
appearance, because
choices
the
of the sort of
Kestrels are
outfit.
an inclusive organization.
That's right.
That's great.
We're gonna go do this again, development environment. This hammer I have here is incredibly close to my heart. It's one of my favorites. So it is what it is. I sure you
Well, lose it, you definitely know where it is.
where else is the best place to hide a weapon? If it's just hiding in plain sight. It's a clothing.
Concerns for your
Yeah, that was what they did to Elemental. That's how they improved it. It's just now part of you. You are a hammer.
You are the weapon.
Yes. You just randomly get smashed in the floor.
On our side.
It's okay.
I almost wish that these jade golems could be used on the mechanists as well. They look so cool.
So I don't, get discovered before I'm able to show off some of this area to folks. But this is one of the most beautiful regions in this map, and I'm going to say that a lot, and I'm going to, just make it very clear. Our map artist, Justin, has done an amazing job bringing this map to life and just showing, blending the old and new, and the old and the old and the new, if you will, because there's the trees, there's the big forest, but there's also these beautiful architectural elements, that have been built into them. And then on top of that, there's elements of these where, the Jade Brotherhood have come in here and set up shop inside of this old cathedral-looking building, right? And these are areas that you might not have seen in Guild Wars 1, and so, it's fun to discover new things and see kind of what you can do in here, and why are the gangs in here, and what exactly is happening in here. Because, as you can see, there's a bunch of folks in here that have eyeballs over their head. They're watching my every movement. They're very suspicious about the fact that I have a hammer in my chest.
They're just trying to help.
That's not normal. We have technology for that.
We do. They have technology for everything.
When it comes
they
to
have
February,
tech
Obi, you would have forgotten about this
exactly.
stuff.
What
Perfect bread, perfect crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. Bread.
They really did do a beautiful job of layering all these elements to kind of tell the story of the building and the history.
But yeah, right. I'm not going to go into too much detail of what exactly you can do in here. There's tons of stuff to explore. It really takes advantage of the verticality, all of the movement mechanics that you were able to do, and take my mounts and kind of just climb up and explore and see what's going on.
The designer for this area had so much fun. There's just, the Jade Brotherhood are full of schemes.
Definitely gonna want a Springer.
You have to mess with all of them.
Yeah, for sure.
They're a scheming bunch.
We're gonna just kind of quickly sneak out of here before we get too much attention. They didn't see a thing. But if we did get caught, we'd have to deal with our lovely...
face the wrath.
Yeah, face the wrath.
After all, Kurt,
An elite
the Jade
guard
Brotherhood
door.
has a zero-tolerance policy for corporate espionage. They are not welcoming to moss brains, tree squatters, or corporate hacks.
You are terrifyingly good at that.
She's a very firm, yet,
The design of that golem.
Polite. She's very polite, but don't get on her bad side.
Yeah.
I love that they just put an elite
speak with our Kestrel
out in
friend
the
over here again to lose our
Oftentimes they
disguise.
save elites for scaling of events, but
Yeah.
it's a sense of
All right.
urgency and ooh, I should be careful here.
Let's take a quick pause. We're going to meet one more of our dev guests. Stick around. We'll be right back. We have more of Echovald Wilds to show you.
Oh,
Ooh.
taking a screenshot of that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Beautiful.
What is that?
Looks like they have to transition. It looks. I think it is like a jade golem.
Yeah, I
At
thought it
least
was
in
like a
G-Tech.
fallen.
I'm looking at the OBS screen, which is a lot smaller, and I was like, I can't see that. Like an old man.
Oh, that's new.
That's cool.
Wow.
Crew's face.
Kurzick's just like, screenshot.
All of the
Forgave you.
Oh.
That's cool.
Oh, the tree growing up through the remnants. That's stunning.
It's nice to have see the person there to see the scale as well. That's good.
Yeah. And it's like,
I'm
it was
so in
bright.
love. Wow.
We've already seen a lot of cool stuff.
The tree
And a very
growing around
sad
the building? Is the
announcement.
building growing around the tree? Built around.
My
Right.
assumption would be that like that building was probably part of ancient ruins there, and then the trees grew up into them, but I don't know. It could be that that's architecture distinctive to, is it the Kurzicks from this region?
Yes.
We did hear some more music tracks during the Extra Life as well, which is very cool. This wasn't one of them, I don't think, but
The screenshot of this this tree and the person with the scale, it's so bright, and it makes me really excited to see if there will be like a civilization or settlements like up in the canopies closer to the sun, to have that differentiation between like the lower roots where it's that dark, ominous feeling, while having like a safe haven.
That's
up
nice.
You're
above.
right. Because there's so much like brightness and gold and those kinds of highlights in those ones versus these ones that seem to be down at the bottom that have that kind of blue tone, green tone,
and
a little
I'm gonna
bit
take
dimmer.
A second and say thank you and welcome to Allie for
Hey
joining
guys,
us.
I'm Allie B. I'm a senior game designer here at ArenaNet, and I was responsible for a lot of the Echovald meta and various other events that you see here through Echovald Wilds.
All right, well, what do we got to
Nice.
see next?
So I think we are headed to the Kurzick Cemetery, Kirk, right?
That's right, yeah.
cemetery.
And then we kind of like to
Oh,
talk
Morgan's
about,
good. I like Morgan.
back in GW1, you had all of these people that you knew, and
I like
kind
everyone,
of
but-
with the time that happened between Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, what happened to these people? Well, some of them have passed on and now have their descendants in the area, and so now you can kind of come visit tombstones that may have some recognizable names.
Yay.
Ah.
So yeah, one of the cool things about you know, this area, and Morgan was talking about it a bit earlier, is the history that's here. Right, there's so much history, not just of what's in
I
Guild
forgot to
Wars
hide,
2,
Boo,
and you
what?
can discover there.
The
and
UI
what has
popped
happened
up
between,
with the story
when you
chapter.
were there in Guild Wars 1, but also what came after in Guild Wars 1 when the player character left Cantha, right? Before the
Alright,
Ministry
well,
of Purity
I'm not
came
gonna
and
talk about
conquered the Kurziks and the Luxons. What happened here, right?
Oh, I think it's level
And
10
something
one.
that, you know,
I think we're good.
we're able to tell
Yeah,
those
no, I think
kinds
it was
of
just level
stories
10.
through elements in the map, and is one of these, you know,
good.
being the cemetery here.
Well, and
The
I think we see
lighting,
some
the
familiar faces
atmosphere,
that-
it's
well,
so
familiar
good
faces in
here.
relative terms.
Danica.
Familiar names that are on grave sites. I think that says Countess, doesn't it?
It does say Countess, so
She
yeah,
leveled up.
Super level up.
very much so. Yeah, so this is, you know, it's a small little addition here that tells a bit of a story that was really exciting, you know, working out some of the details here. Countess Danica Heltzer. You know, Danica Heltzer was a popular character in Guild Wars 1 when you were in Cantha, and she was one of the Kurzick members of House Heltzer, right? And it turns out over the course of time, you know, when the player character left Cantha, she became Countess of House Heltzer. And so you might be able to learn more about that. I might be able to read her gravestone here and learn more.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
You know,
Well, and I think what's
Press
really
that
important
button.
here too is we kind of wanted to write a love
Read,
letter to those
read.
people who were familiar with Guild Wars 1, right? But then still with people who are like me who haven't played Guild Wars 1, I know I can hear the chat from here.
I'm just starting. I just got to
No,
Kurzick's.
you're
No
fine.
shame. No
I
shame.
can hear it. I can hear it. What do you mean? Go play that game. So we wanted to make sure that people who hadn't necessarily
that's
been
good.
someone who played a lot of Guild Wars 1
I
and
can't
knows a
remember
lot
it.
of the lore, that we have a lot of kind of winks and nods that you can look at and go, oh, hey, I wonder who that is. I wonder who they were before. And you can use our wiki or, you know, go play Guild Wars 1 and kind of enjoy where those names and those people came from. But one of the big pieces about House Heltzer and Echovald Wilds is we really wanted to make sure that when you were coming back to Cantha, it felt like you were coming back to Cantha and not just some completely new area. But
Making me
I
wanna
think
play
there's
Guild
also a
Wars
lot
on
to be
again.
said too.
It's been a hot second since I played
just
Factions
as a quick
at this
reminder
point.
again, this is a good place to remind folks that we are hiding a lot of content in the map just because there's so many
I forgot I didn't play through it.
I
started playing through it.
How much are you two, like, as we're running
like,
around,
I've
how much
played
are you
this.
two, like, seeing the things that aren't being shown right now? I'm just being like,
so
I can't wait.
Oh yeah,
Like, that's not there.
giggling internally a lot. Yeah,
A lot of steeple fingers.
Yes,
A lot of
very
steeple
much
fingers.
so.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
But the other thing we have too is we have various people who are around this area, right? Like this is the cranky caretaker who's kind of grumpy about having to deal with the gangs and us and everything else.
Yeah, the cranky caretaker who just, he's just kind of sitting here by a fire.
Let the dead rest.
He's not very happy about his
They
job.
deserve
He
it.
doesn't even have any kind of, tent or anything. It's just like, poor guy. He has to deal with all this gang warfare going around, messing up his cemetery. It's all the stuff that's happening lately, has to deal with all these dang
Everybody was
tourists that keep
teasing
coming
me about what I
through.
was talking about gang
an awesome
violence in the
segue.
city,
Thank you,
and
Al.
now look at how much they've talked about
So
gang
another
to
part
plot
of this
them.
area that we really are really excited to show you, and I mean really, is that House to Heltzer is in effect. We're almost there, right?
Explorable.
Is explorable.
Yes, yeah. If you're familiar with Guild Wars 1, if
a little
not,
bit
I
brighter
encourage
up
you to go
here.
play it. This is something from
getting
Guild Wars
there
1
layer
that's
by
dear to
layer.
my heart. Well, that might have just
This is-
revealed what side I'm on, I guess. But, it is what it is at this
dun.
point. House of Heltzer, it was the capital of the Kurzicks, essentially, in Guild Wars 1.
I'm in this place right now in Guild Wars 1.
The Zuheltzers in general were the big prominent member of all of the Kurzick houses. And you're able to return to this area and see what has happened, right? In Guild Wars 2 and in Echovald Wilds here, it's been turned into a bit of an archaeological site.
Well, and it's kind of a tourist attraction now too, isn't it?
It sure is, yeah. So one of the fun things about House of Heltzer and the Echovald Wilds in general is people, not just Tyrians, the commander is here and any Tyrians that came with them. The people who live in Cantha outside of this region are aware of what's happening here, right? They know it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
and-
it's kind of crazy. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times it becomes kind of a visiting tourist attraction where you're like, oh, I can go to House to Heltzer Ruins and go see some of these like museum-like ancient artifacts and kind of have a tour. And then maybe, just maybe we'll get a glimpse of the gangs kind of fighting each other. And that's really, really exciting as a tourist.
That's right,
And
yeah.
really dangerous.
And they're here for it though. Like they
Yeah.
want their
Ultra
lunch money
mines
taken.
are under
Yeah.
attack.
It's exciting to them to have their lunch money taken. I mean,
guys and your lunch money.
Some people really like their Echovald
lunch.
I wonder if
I always
those are
brought
just
from
kind
home.
of like events, or if it's something kind of similar to the World versus World style map we got with Drizzlewood, where there are those like different kinds of regions that they're competing for.
Could be. I think they might bring some stuff.
Everything that the Zuheltzers
Probably.
do
This is
blank
kind of giving me
Zuheltzer.
like
That's just
those are meta
so
event
instead of having
notifications.
Zuheltzers,
So we'll probably have to
we
keep
went with
control of
Zuheltzers.
certain
I love
areas.
that so
Yeah.
much. I just,
do
it's
something,
those little touches
with
that I
them.
laughed so hard when I saw it.
That's right, and same.
And it's those things, right, that we talk
Yeah.
about. That's that kind of a love letter to our previous games, and I think that's so important for our fans too.
Absolutely, and that really is echoed in the fact that the characters that like we mentioned before who live here, they are of Kurzick and Luxon descent, right?
Yeah, so you end up with characters who visually will represent that kind of heritage,
Ooh,
which we see
yes.
here. Is that one of the tourist or tour people?
Yeah, this is the Historical Society steward.
Yeah.
She's of Kurzick heritage, and the people who live here.
She's serving.
Yes, everyone is aware of what happened
Love
to those
the
two
new face and the
groups of
makeup.
people earlier, centuries ago in Guild Wars universe. But they still recognize their heritage and they celebrate it, and that's something that was really important to us when we were approaching building out this area. Just for the world building aspects of it, but also
I'm not sure what you
for
mean, Zedek,
just
sorry.
being able to tell cool, unique stories and showcase those cultures,
Well, and to our fans too, it will feel
Mm-hmm.
familiar rather than feeling completely different, which is super important.
Yeah,
One of
absolutely.
the things here that you can do as part of an event is kind of look for various artifacts that the House to Heltzer historical
I think that's
Society,
I think
guess
that's the
would be
boat. I think they have the
correct
boat on
word,
there,
are
and
looking
it's
for.
grayed out
And
like that
those can be
because
found
you
in
can't
various
use
pieces
it.
of
That's
rubble,
my guess.
where you're
You can't
looking
use it
for
unless you're in
keys,
water.
and sometimes
It
those
looks kind
keys
of like
also lead
Yeah,
to
it looks like a
some
skiff.
various creatures.
a skiff.
These keys are used to look at the different barriers that we have in this game, or in this area, excuse me. And so you would go in and use the key to get through the barrier, because otherwise it's a no good, very bad time, right?
Yeah, it's you'll have a bad time if you try to mess with the relic without being able to break these wards, and that's the Kurzick relics that are left over.
Maybe,
in this area,
maybe
there's a
Diablo.
lot to discover here.
Interesting.
Not just in context of this particular event, but just what you can find and what that might lead to. This particular event might lead to something that's really cool. I mean, it's really cool now. The entire experience is really fun. One of our designers, Chloe, did an awesome job building out this area.
Absolutely.
And just being able to tell some history here that's both old and new, right? There's some stuff for new folks, there's some stuff for old people who played it in the past, but it doesn't feel foreign.
For old people.
Either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think you're not the only one looking for those artifacts either. There's a potential to run into the gangs.
Yep,
who are looking.
Saw me.
Who are also looking for ways to get those artifacts, and
Jesus
apparently
Christ.
your lunch money.
So we're just gonna sneak out of there before get too dangerous here.
So one of the great things about Guild Wars 2 now, as well, is in comparison to Guild Wars 1, you weren't able to really explore up. And here, with our verticality, you can look at things like wall buttresses, any of the Gothic architecture. You can essentially explore the top of House Heltzer.
Yeah, that's one of those little things
really
that
fun.
when we first started
What are
plotting
these
out this
white
map and kind of
things?
exploring
This
it,
has got to be a
really hit us.
mastery,
It's
right?
Like, whoa.
Oh, those are the
This is
barriers
kind
for
of a
the
new
event. You have to
angle.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You
You get the key, and then you do like this little mini game to
you
unlock
could do
the
slash
barrier.
jump,
Damn
but
it.
that's not the same as a bunny hop and being able to really explore.
I think
the
I know what
full
the fifth
3D
mastery is,
environment
though.
of the area.
Yeah.
And again,
Okay.
this is something that our map artist Justin has
That's
just
lame.
really done an incredible job building out.
Griffith's gonna reveal
It feels
I'm
like it's always
sure.
been this way in the sense that you're
No
able to
insider information.
explore
This
and
is a
climb up
guess.
those vines and you get up really high up into those treetops, and there's tons of verticality in this map that you can, just go crazy with and try to find new things hidden all over.
Yeah, I was
the
going to
place.
say, and we knew that was coming in, so there are probably plenty of things to be explored and discovered up in that upper canopy.
Yeah, why is this path of wood here? It looks like there's some scaffolding here. What does it lead to? It is a mystery.
It is a jumping puzzle, probably.
Spoiler question
JP.
sound. So, something that, Ali, you mentioned when we were first
I see a warden down there.
Yeah.
was that you helped work on the Echovald meta.
I did. Yeah, we can
Wow.
absolutely talk a little bit about the meta.
Computer,
So one
zoom
of the
in.
things that we really wanted to make sure
Oh,
in
all the way down there?
Echovald is that you get the
Yes.
feeling that
Yeah,
these
I
villagers
think that
and
is.
those two gangs
How
are
can you
beating
see
up
that?
all
The
of
one
the
that's
Lord.
doing
And, they
that
ha-
big
and it's a
swing.
hammer, so I think it's an
And it has a
untamed.
hammer.
supplies.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of living
Oh, God.
the best they can. And while
Untamed
the
lore.
Brotherhood are fighting each other.
See, like,
there
if you
is
got that kind of
essentially a
woody
fuse that
growth
is
all
lit
over you
to spark an all-out
during
war between
Untamed,
them.
that would
That's
be
kind of the
incredible.
core of what our
Yeah.
meta is.
And there is a
And
different
during
model
that
as well.
time,
It's not
the
just like that one that we
Kestrels,
saw in the trailer.
Morgan
Uh-huh.
mentioned
There's another one.
earlier, are looking at this opportunity going, all right, the gangs are already hitting each other with as much desperation as they can. Why don't we go in and why don't we essentially destabilize both of them while they're busy with one another? And so the entire core of the meta is actually doing that. So you will visit
So many
various
auras and
villages
stuff going
and you'll
off.
be sent on tasks
Oh, what
with
was that
different
thing?
members of the Kestrels in order to do so. And one of those tasks
We've seen a
happens to
couple
be
of
in the
those little, like,
Altar
metal
Mines. Again,
platforms.
probably a
There were
familiar
some by
name to you
the
guys. And the
other
mines
the
are still
Jade
around,
group.
although the amber inside is not as prevalent or not as valuable, I should say.
amber.
There's the
to
amber.
the people of Cantha as it once was in comparison to Jade that it is now.
Yeah, they definitely decided to take up Jade to their empire, so to speak, right?
Yeah, and that's reflected
Gang
in all of the
War of
statues we
Echovald.
have and a lot of the other maps as
Tulare
well.
Village.
Yeah. So as Morgan was saying before, so these villages that are scattered all around the map, they are regions that have unique history to each of them, right? Some folks are. Some of the villages, excuse me, are
just
more
leaped off February.
Luxon-sided, some are more Kurzick-sided. I'm going to
Wow.
go invisible.
Oh,
with that.
no.
Slapping the ass of that.
Bangs
Those
a booty.
but at the same time, right, something
Wow,
that was
Speaker
really cool
Saboteur.
to see.
Didn't know this was
going
gonna
to
be that kind of guild chat.
The entire thing really
Cool
feel like a big war zone,
spellbreaker.
right?
Yeah,
These
These
things
absolutely.
Those
are
dagger
at
slashes
each
as well.
other's throats,
Yeah,
right?
well, and the desperation kind of like disseminates into chaos. So here we have you work with a kestrel named Stas, who's actually human. One of the things that's really important and something we really wanted to touch on is not only are the kestrels inclusive, which we try to do for all of our game, But they also aren't just Tengu, right? They involve descendants of Kurzicks, descendants of Watsons. So you kind of really work with a whole bunch of different people who have decided to become kind of the protectors and peacekeepers of Echovald. And so with this particular event, you are helping Stas kind of bust up the speaker supply, as it were. So you are gathering their bomb supplies that they have stashed in this village to try and kind of circumvent what they've been trying to do.
Yeah, something that I'm really happy with these villages too is when this is all happening, you know, and again, a lot of stuff has been hidden here because it is a very spoiler town. That's something that's cool about this map is that, you know, it takes place a little bit later in the story. And so some things will be different, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, the world reacts to what has happened.
Absolutely. Well, and you get more of a feeling of desperation the longer the meta goes on. So once you've, you know, kind of finished up with all of those villages and their different things that you need to do, you kind of have this climactic moment that we won't be telling you about that you have to come explore yourself here in Echovald. But please rest assuredly that dev team and I worked real hard to make sure that feels really good.
Yeah, and seeing the you know, the writing come together for these two, like Morgan has done an incredible job on working the characteristics of all these villages, right? You know, the villages who are here, who live here, call this particular area home. They react to things happening. You know, they understand that they have their own sense of personality, but they're also in the middle of an area adequately named the Echovald Wilds, and it is a very dangerous area.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's that moment too of like, I'm living here with my family and this is going on, what can I do? And we kind of have the Kestrels there as the like, we're here to help. And some of the villagers aren't really sure how that works. Like, are you actually here to help me? Am I gonna have to pay you now? Like that kind of interaction that you'll definitely see.
Yeah. So, you know, this is definitely, it is a meta event, so when I
like
go in this year, I'm not going to have just one person trying to take my lunch.
And like the wording
no, it'll be all of
each
them.
mob,
They are definitely programmed to take all of your lunch.
Hopefully we'll have a more flavorful open world combat experience.
I was hoping they were teasing like some random changes to the event list right here, but it doesn't look like it's changed much.
I was thinking that too. I was also wondering if there were some updates.
You might have seen across the screen, it would say, you know,
that would be good before the
village is under attack.
patch comes in, actually.
That just is something that
will
really
probably be in 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, it's really important because you're essentially getting this urgency.
Ready for flipping
it's
soon.
not just the place I'm at, and so you're looking at your different, you know, your different squads and your different groups and going, how do I have to split up? Like, how do we as a group have to split up to make sure that we can protect all of these villages that are all falling under combat at the same time or falling under duress at the same time?
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting way to have the players pick and choose which villages they go to in order to save.
Yeah, it's really cool too because it makes the entire thing feel global, right? You know, it's a map meta event that takes you around all of Echovald Wilds, you know? And so you're able to, you know, if you're doing the entire thing, you are able to also explore the map and learn the map as you're doing it. And it'll take you to areas that look completely different from one another, as, you know, each of those areas have different kind of cultures and
From what it sounds like, it feels like this meta might be reminiscent to Silver Wastes.
Oh, you think so?
With going through the different towns and villages and then having a final climactic moment, which is a really good like equation.
And then it all concludes
or like
Silver Waste was good. It was like the first proper one, really, other than maybe
an epic all-out climax that you will see when you come play our game.
Indeed.
Thingy with Jake.
It's awesome.
That came down.
Yes.
The lens. What's that? I can't remember.
To see everyone's reactions.
The light coming down over those roots. That's so pretty.
It's always fun every time, and especially towards, you know, everything starting to come together.
It's interesting, even though Guild Wars 2 is like, what, 8, 9 years old, still looks good. Still looks pretty good.
I think it looks gorgeous. Whenever people say something to me about like, oh, it looks so outdated, I'm just going, what are you talking about? Like, are you playing on a terrible, terrible laptop? Because to me, like, read them. To me, it looks like, sure, there are games out there that are, you know, single player games that are absolutely hyper realistic at this point, but the style and the graphics to me look gorgeous, even years later.
Stylized graphics.
Yeah. Like Ali was saying, starts, you know, feeling like it's a game. You know, this is a fun experience that everyone
Yeah.
has put a ton of time into.
Well, and it's a lot of heart.
It's mostly
and soul
the
from
lighting and-
entire dev team too, which
Which
always
does a lot of
super
the work, which is good.
We
Yeah.
definitely take our work here super seriously and want to
Yeah.
make sure that like everything is
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
something our players
I'm
would
super
enjoy.
happy to
Missed
see
it.
Yeah,
the
we are,
scale.
and we're just excited
Everything
for you
feels
guys to
very
get this in your
large.
hands. We are
Absolutely.
It's weird though,
excited
because like
to
it looks
So
like you're
that
not
is
going to be
our
able to
show for
go
today.
up
That is
So,
our-
Kurt, where are you
everywhere.
heading?
Oh yeah.
Or maybe when
No,
you
no,
get
no,
up,
no, no, no.
Oh.
But wait,
stay
there's
up.
more.
Well,
I'm not
maybe
gonna
what
go
I was
through
thinking
it all.
was that
Yeah.
they've gone like more of a half and half. They've gone for like half kind of half horns, half kind of butterfly. Because butterfly was so deadly flat. Like
Yes.
it was just too flat.
Behind it, you know, it's like-
There's not really
Oh.
many nooks and crannies in there in those maps that you can kind of get into.
Is this
so, you know, we're
Arborstone?
just not gonna go inside the portal right now.
Did
I
you
don't
have
know.
something happen to you where somebody took your lunch money, bro?
Or you just,
It's lunch money, bro.
you know what though? I want
What is the
people to
obsession
eventually
with
see
this
what's
lunch money,
behind
be?
I think that
I
might
feel like it's
happen
some
eventually,
inside
right?
joke
We
that they've
should,
been
yeah.
like
That sounds like a
talking
really
about
good
as they
idea.
develop
you know,
the
it's a really
different like
big
gang
entrance.
faction
It's really
violence.
grand.
Okay, you guys are mean.
I know. It's part of my job.
I wonder what could be in there. You
to
know,
be,
like
no, well, to tease, to be like, what is this? What's gonna happen? Who knows?
yeah, like
Okay.
House of Heltzer's right there. You know, there's this.
You two behave yourselves.
Okay.
It is Arborstone. It is Arborstone.
All right, so that is our Echovald Wilds map tour. Look what you guys have done.
Oh
to me.
damn, that was quick.
I'm not sorry.
That was so quick.
Yeah, they probably
honestly
just
do
showed
look
a very
sorry.
small segment of this map.
We know
Yeah,
you guys
especially too
are
because
eager
they
to see
mentioned that
more.
it's apparently something we come to a little bit
We
later, so
have
I'm sure they
so
didn't
much
want to
more
like
of End of Dragons to show you
reveal a
coming up,
ton of
starting
stuff
with
or spoil a lot
next
of
week,
stuff.
November 19th, Friday, our Jade Sea map tour. We are going to
Oh.
take you into the Jade Sea a lot like this.
Oh.
We're going to
Oh, that's
hide
what
a
I'm
lot of
excited
things.
for.
Eventually, we're going to go through that portal. Kirk is just really, like
Arborstone.
smirking at this portal.
Yes, good.
Eventually, we're going to
Yes.
go through that portal. Make sure you follow our channels so you don't miss any of the things that we have coming up. Next Friday's event is just the first of many. End of Dragons is launching in February of 2022.
First of many,
We
it's-
are mid-November.
It's only November.
Oh
We're
man,
so
super home
close.
stretch.
You can pre-purchase right now, though, to get some cool bonuses for your account.
Energy.
New
Including
raid.
right
Oh,
now, including the
No,
Shing J mosaic,
Probably not.
the Flame Serpent weapon chest, and
Oof.
the Prodigy of
I'm
Shing
I'm
J's
just still
armor,
I'm
recovering
there.
from
other goodies.
no Tengu
So-
confirmed.
We will talk about
And
that.
speaking
I
of
think
pre-purchase, I have
we can
one
talk a
more
lot
thing
about
for
that.
you. If you haven't seen yet, we have partnered with DX Racer to bring you
Oh
this
wow.
awesome
So
End
is
of
so is
Dragons
so is
DX
Kroof
Racer
maybe.
gaming
Where's
chair.
your hat and all
definitely
the
have
things
pre-ordered
today?
I've
got all that stuff.
With it.
I posted a
I'm
picture.
This
Need
is
to see it.
this is
Actually, I
such a
think
cool
Rick has
detail,
as
and I
well.
know like the whole chair is amazing, but that massive embroidered
Oh,
End
yeah.
of Dragons logo on the back is incredible.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for that to get to my house.
I know,
Do you
I
know when
love
it's going to get to my house?
Yes, wow, that was good.
I got you.
You can
got
pre-purchase this now. It is available for pre-purchase now until
It
November
looks
30th, until the end
so
of this
nice,
month.
Wait,
but
you
it's
just
so
straight
expensive.
up buy it? How much is it?
It's like $450.
That's our show. Thank you all for joining
It's
us.
so expensive.
Don't forget to come back next
It's a
week,
bucket
and
seat as
we will
well.
take
Gamer
you
chairs are
around
just
to
not worth it.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm
Later,
sorry,
guys.
they're just not. They're just not.
It's
good.
so tough because I
But it
wish they
looks so
were. I mean,
cool.
I have an ergonomic chair and it's definitely way better, but
Yeah.
like, I
I've
love the
got
look
one.
of that chair. I want it very much.
I
got one
probably
of
should
these
get an
chairs.
ergonomic chair, but I just bought this gaming chair, and it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, they're not. They're really.
My youthful bones are okay for now.
Is that a poke at the older bones that exist within this area?
I'm just saying, biology and time has their effects on the body.
We're one to be significantly older than the rest of us. It might be
Yes.
harder to sit in a chair for a long
Just
time.
because I'm 40 in
true.
December doesn't mean you can give me lip, young whippersnappers. Okay. Right, I'm going to end this segment and then we're going to talk. We're going to have the
Perfect.
podcast. Okay, so thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll be back momentarily to do the things.
And I'm gonna quickly use the restroom because I
Yeah,
have a lot
that's
of
going
water.
to be
Be
the
right
end
back.
of the stream. Awesome, that was the marker. Okay, cool. Stream, hello.